just owned a software company.
My colleagues don't want me to talk about. Don't be conspiratorial about this. There's other explanations for
Well, we've
it.
already talked about George Soros. The fact the FCC fast-tracked him purchasing 200 different radio stations.
I mean, that's kind of run-of-the-mill corruption. I mean, with Gates, you get into Epstein, right? So
yeah.
I mean, so I'm not saying this is the reason, but I mean, it is like this is not a theory. The current CIA director, Bill Burns, was at Epstein's apartment multiple times. Bill Gates was there. I believe last time I checked, nobody knows how many times actually Bill Gates was with Jeffrey Epstein. He went out and did this, he did this PBS interview where he just looks guilty the whole time and is defensive talking about Epstein.
Is that with that woman where when he says, well, he's dead now.
He said,
so be careful. Which is just the wildest thing to say.
It's weird that, you're like, that's what he was thinking. When she was like, he's basically like, why are you going on and on about it? He's dead. It's like, well, we weren't talking about him. We were talking about you and your relationship with him.
Right.
So, I mean, look, so obviously there was a sex blackmail operation. I mean, I'm 95% on it. I think the Wall Street Journal reporters who did fantastic reporting on this are probably 99%. That was a sex blackmail operation. Mm-hmm. They were shooting film. There were one-way mirrors. They were entrapping people. There's known connections to Mossad, and I just don't believe that Mossad operates in the United States without CIA approval.
So the prevailing theory is, what most people believe, is that they brought these people there under this premise that you're going to be there with heads of state and industry and famous people and scientists, and this is going to be an amazing place where exceptional people get together. And then once you get there, you get a little loose. And you start drinking a little and perhaps taking in some party favors, and then there's ladies.
Yep. And they're underage.
Yeah.
And then you next thing, and you don't know it, but that mirror on the wall, someone's filming you. And then you're owned.
Yeah.
So, I mean, look, that's possible. I mean, I'm not...
Something's going on in the fact that they haven't been released.
Right.
The client list hasn't been released.
Well, and that Epstein was killed in jail. I mean, that's just
clearly
the
murdered.
most suspicious thing. I mean, I don't know anybody that thinks it was suicide.
Oh, I've heard people argue it. Yeah, they believe it.
So, I mean, look, that could explain it. I mean, look, I think Soros really believes this stuff. I think Gates, I mean, these are people, like, when you get that powerful, you don't stop wanting more power. You want more power. And there's also, you need to maintain power in order to protect yourself from all this stuff that we just talked about. Right. Assuming you have skeletons in the closet. I mean, we do know one of his affairs with a young Russian, I think, chess player. Bridge player. Mm-hmm. That's not contested. That's established. When he was going through his divorce, Melinda, like you see the leaks to the New York Times about Epstein occurred while she's negotiating over the divorce.
Right.
So clearly she knew something. You don't necessarily need that. You don't need Epstein to explain Gates. But I mean, Gates, he just came out with a Netflix documentary. This wasn't some like offhanded remark. He comes out with a whole Netflix documentary talking about specifically at great length about why we need to have censorship apparatus in place. And he gave multiple reasons.
And one of them's protect people trying to tell you not to take vaccines.
Right. Protect people from people like you.
Yeah. Well, I'm not even telling people not to do anything.
No.
But there's people that are spreading, air quotes, misinformation about vaccines.
Right.
Including real facts.
Well, right. Those are the most dangerous ones.
Well, that's what the most bizarre is, that he himself has changed his take on it. And he did it sort of, it seemed like, to try to cover up the fact that he was promoting it for so long. And that, it didn't work as we wanted, and COVID wasn't as bad as we thought. And, it didn't really offer the protection that you need in order to actually, it's not a sterilizing virus. It doesn't actually kill the virus. It doesn't keep you from getting it.
Right.
So it does allow transmission. So he kind of admitted all those things. But like, we'll do better next time was sort of the gist of it.
Right.
And this idea that you have to use, you can't have people talking about inconvenient things that eventually turn out to be true seems crazy to not push back on. And the fact that he said that and there was no response whatsoever in mainstream media. There was no New York Times articles written about it. The Washington Post didn't cover it and talk about how fucking insane it is to say something like that, especially after what we've been through.
The gaslighting.
Yeah.
I mean, I just did a debate with Bill Nye in Florida.
He's the science guy.
The science guy, yeah.
How could you do a debate against the science guy?
Because I'm anti-science, obviously.
He must be.
And, I mean, I just pointed out that simple fact that the vaccine didn't obviously prevent infection or transmission. And the crowd, how can you say that and whatever? And it's like, because everybody knows it reduced hospitalizations and reduced death. And I agree with that. I mean, that's fine. But the point isn't, I'm not arguing about the vaccine. I'm arguing that it didn't do